He got under my skin when I was a kid, but he always got his man. There you go. There you go. Just brief. But yeah,
Hi, Stewie. Don't quit your day job. Don't go into singing.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong there. Jacques, I have had some questions from fans for you, and I know you love the fans, and I know you love the questions. And I've had one question about Scott Levy Raven when he was managing you, as obviously Johnny Polo when you were the Quebecers, and it's Joey Kelly Jr. He just said if you could ask him how it was working with Scott Levy, aka Johnny Polo / Raven, please.
I wasn't that close of Johnny Polo. Johnny Polo was given to me by Vince McMahon. My first choice, everybody knows, was Jimmy Hart. You know, I've always worked with Jimmy Hart. I was even sad to see that we didn't have Jimmy Hart. Johnny Polo wasn't. We weren't compatible. Like, you know, we had different lifestyles. He liked the nightlife and stuff like that. He was very eccentric, and I liked better Jimmy Hart, because Jimmy Hart was a guy who always went to bed early, got up early, was always on time, always reliable, made our music. You know, it wasn't comparable. You know, I don't have anything against Johnny Polo.
No,
he's a nice guy, but he's nothing to compare to Jimmy Hart.
It's just absolutely Jimmy Hart, man, still going strong as well. The guy never ages, Jacques.
He's like he reminds me of the Energizers, the battery Energizer. He keeps on going. He just keeps on going.
Absolutely.
But he's him. I don't know if you have that commercial in Europe, but you know, there's a battery called Energizer.
Yes,
and there's a little bunny with some drums going, and it just keeps on going. And that's what I think when I think of Jimmy Hart. You know, he dyes his hair a little bit now. You know, he's 80 years old. He looks like he's about 50. You know, and he just shows up early, and you start talking to him, and boy, he's got the mouth. He's the mouth of the South. Boy, he just keeps on going, and he's amazing. Jimmy Hart is an icon. He's someone that everybody should look up to.
I need to meet Jimmy. I've met several. I've met a lot of wrestlers at the conventions and stuff over the years. But yeah, Jimmy's on my list. As are you. Me and you need to meet in person. That's a definite. But yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you met Tyson at the convention last year in the UK, man. Just incredible, isn't it? We've got to go back to that. We've got to go back to it.
You know how incredible it is? It's like he's such a superstar. He's such an icon, and I didn't know him that much, you know, because I don't follow boxing. I think he's in boxing. Is that what it is? He's in boxing?
He's in boxing. He's got, and do you know what the problem is now? There's too many boxing boards, and they can't get the fights made because you've got a promoter for this boxing board. And Jock, it's a shame because I'm a huge boxing fan, especially the British fighters.
Okay.
He needs to fight Anthony Joshua. It's like this has been rumbling on for years now. And just like
what was amazing for me, what was amazing is when I got to the convention, it was amazing because when I got there, everybody was telling me like, oh my God, you got to meet this guy. You know, Jacques, this guy is so popular. Tyson, you know, he's so popular. And I'm going like this, and I'm saying like, really? Okay. So I asked him, you know, so I want to put a picture of me and him on my Facebook. You know, I'm like a groupie myself. You know, when I meet superstars, so I want to get a picture with him. So I tell the guy, the security guy, I said, could you try to work it out? The promoter, I said, could you try to work it out that I meet this guy? So he's bringing me towards this guy. And about 40 feet from me, this guy looks at me and he says, "The Mountie," you know. So he recognized me. It was so funny, you know. For I'm the groupie and he's the one who recognized me, you know. So what a great meeting we had.
He's incredible. I tell you, we've said before when we've talked about this, how he's championed mental health, because you know he had his demons and his struggles there. And I think the fact that he came back and won the belts, just incredible.
Is he champion right now?
He's got the WBC belt, which is like the best. You know, everyone knows the WBC, don't they? And then Usyk, Ukrainian guy, he beat Anthony Joshua twice. He's got 4 of the other belts.
So give him my regards when you see him. Please give him my regards.
When I see him again, I will be like, Jacques Rougeau, the Mountie.
Tell him the Mountie always gets his man, except him.
I can't believe you're admitting that. I've got another question, a current question actually. Now I know you were with AEW in Canada last year with the winners of the 2022 Wrestling Academy, and Kevin Williams asks, "What are Jock's thoughts on AEW?"
Well, to be honest with you, I was amazed to see the production. I was amazed to see, but it was different than WWE. When I was there, when I was there 30 years ago. So I'm looking at 30 years later. So everything was different. The promos were different. The way it was done, the approach, the talent was amazing. I saw one guy that it's funny. I don't know if he's even still there. But he's called the Jungle Boy. That he impressed me. Like he was a small kid. But he was flying all over the place, and he was against this big guy. So I was surprised to see. Unfortunately, I haven't started following wrestling yet. I haven't watched it in 30 years. I'm not following wrestling yet. I'm waiting for the AEW to approach me and to offer me something, and then I'm going to start getting interested in it. I'm not going to go ahead and get a heart broken again, going into starting loving a company again and then not getting any response from them. So I'm going to wait till AEW comes to Montreal, and it's imperative that if AEW, because they're all over Canada now. So when they make it to Montreal, I'm sure they're gonna wink at me or do something with me, and then I'll wait to meet Tony Khan. And if I get the chance to meet Tony Khan and we could put something together, I would love to start working back with a big league again. That would be fun. But for now, I'm having a great time with Wrestling Academy. I'm living my passion. I'm creating momentum for Canadian wrestlers, a bridge for them to make it to the big leagues. So that's fun for me. I'm living my passion.
And I'm going to the show at Wembley Stadium. They're obviously doing Wembley Stadium in August. They've gone all out. They've gone all out because WWE didn't run Wembley Stadium last year. They did Cardiff, obviously the capital of Wales. So they've sold 70,000 tickets, Shock, and the
Really?
record and the
Wow.
record. The record is 21,000 at Arthur Ashe Stadium when they did Grand Slam.
Wow.
And the Americans were downplaying it. It'll never sell 40, 50,000. I told them, I said, you do not realize the staunch fan base we've got in the UK. They still love pro wrestling like we did 30 odd years ago. And I told people, and they poo-pooed me. I said, they will do 70,000 plus at Wembley Stadium. And
wow.
Tony Khan's not announced any matches yet, Jacques.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
What do you think about that? Me telling you that?
I just think that, like you said, I think the UK has a big place in their heart for wrestling, and I think that the AEW has made a big enough impression now. That it's gone around the world, it's spread around the world. So I think that they have faith that they're going to see a great show, and there's great talent there. So I believe that. I wouldn't have believed they would have done so well on the first show, to be honest with you. But now that they are, well, power to them, because it's always good to have competition. Because when there's only one company that runs the world, they could do what they want. They could create what they want. They could spit on whoever they want. But when there's competition, they got to be nicer to the boys. Because if they're not nice enough to them, there's another place where the guys could go at.
Absolutely. Your experience being in the business, well, full well how it is, how it works. So yeah, absolutely. Also, I've got to say, the Germans will fly in for the show as well. It won't just be the Brits.
Really?
The French,
wow.
the French will come, the Dutch. So it's going to be incredible.
It's going to be an event. It's going to be an event.
I don't watch WWE like I used to. I watch bits and bobs here and there. I'm more about AEW.
Wow.
It's just how I feel about it. I like what they're doing. I like what they're doing.
I don't. I can't say nothing. There's so many things. And my father always said, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say nothing. So
no.
So I'm not the kind of person to talk bad about anybody, but I'm still holding it against the WWE for not putting the Rougeau name in the Hall of Fame. because I did so much for that company as the
Absolutely.
fabulous Rougeau brothers, as the Mountie, as the Quebecers, and I gave my heart and soul to that company. And because of personal problems I've had with Vince, a personal relationship, a bad one, he's keeping the Rougeau name out of the Hall of Fame, and he's put so many other people that I heard that are in the Hall of Fame. A lot of them, most of them deserve it, but a lot of them, I'm wondering what the hell are they doing there? Like, the Hall of Fame is a that represent the respect and the gratitude that you have for someone that helped you create and build your company, and Lord knows I was there when they for so many years to create and to build and to make sure that I did the amazing matches every night that I was in the ring for them. I'm hoping one day that he's going to step on his pride and not because I want to go back to WWE, but just out of recognition for my father, Jacques Rougeau, my great uncle Johnny, my great uncle Eddie Auger, my uncle Johnny, my brothers.
Absolutely.
The Rougeau name is four generations of wrestlers. And there's no way you could keep it would almost be like in the hockey league not having Guy Lafleur or Maurice Richard in the Hall of Fame. As far as I'm concerned. So there's a lot of great other families also that deserves to be in there. I'm thinking of the Von Erichs, the Funks, there's so many great companies great families that created wrestling. That's what the foundation of wrestling is, and you have to have some recognition for those, not just blowing your own tube there and blowing your own pipe and just thinking that you're amazing and what you created. You did not create this without us. And that's my thought on that. So, but I'm learning to live with it now. I'm not so sad about it anymore, because I even had a fan last month who wrote to me and made me a big Hall of Fame picture, with me and Raymond on it. And he said next time I go to see a WWE show, I'm going to be sitting at ringside and I'm going to be showing that sign up.
I really thought it was going to happen this year. Look, the support you've had for it. It's crazy. And then, not to take away from the celebrities that have gone in, but they've got a celebrity wing. But then you guys, the guys that were grafting, the tag
for
division,
I had my trophy. For me, Stewie, I had my trophy this year when Hulk Hogan went out and pronounced that he expected us, that the fabulous Rougeau brothers are going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That's enough. That's enough for me. Because if Hulk Hogan says it, it's not just anybody.
Arguably one of the greatest of all time. High praise indeed from the Hulkster. Absolutely. I've got a question from a guy in Australia. So we're jetting off to Australia now, and it's Lawrence. It's Blazer. And he wants to ask, my dream has always been to be a wrestling promoter / booker. Love the idea of producing wrestling events, coming up with ideas for wrestling and being creative. Have you got any tips for me in wrestling, being a wrestling promoter?
You know what? The first thing I tell you, my friend, is go hang around wrestlers. Go hang around the business. Go see wrestling events. Go get involved. Go and tell your dream, and go tell your inspirations to what you want to become, and work hard at it. And I also believe that it's by if it doesn't work out the first time, then try again and try again and try again. Because I believe honestly in anything you do in life, if anybody has a passion and he really puts his mind and heart to it, he will succeed. It may take a long time, may take longer than you expect. But I just think that for you to be a wrestling promoter or a booker, you must know everything about wrestling, the most that you can anyway. So surround yourself with wrestling and read magazines, read stories, just go and stick to wrestling and go see the live events and go tell your dream to the people involved. And you can always start by trying to promote a small little show with wrestlers that are not so well known, but just to get the experience of promoting and running a show and finding out the loopholes and the problems you could encounter. But there's nothing better in life than experience. So go and experience little events, and you can do it. I'm sure you can. So hopefully you'll realize your dream one day, my friend.
Thank you for that, Jacques. Absolutely. Yeah, he said, could you ask him? Of course I will. I said, Jacques done every facet of the business. What better person to ask than Jacques? So no, thank you for that. He'll appreciate that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right, I've got one little thing before we go. I'm gonna fire some names at you from like the 1980s when you were in WWF. And just a little bit, like the first sort of thing that comes into your head. I've always wanted to ask. I've heard a lot of stories about this guy. We've heard on the dirt sheets, we've heard on Dark Side of the Ring and different things. It's not expose or anything like that. You know, I know you're not about that, but Adrian Adonis. How was Adrian Adonis? You know, in the locker room, how were your dealings with him? Because he was a character. He was a character, man.
The first thing that comes to mind that he was in an era, it was in an era that I was when I was younger, where gays were not really welcomed in the business. Like, you know, when you're talking about the 70s, the 80s, it was a man's world and something like that. So him portraying like a gay and stuff, it was like, for me, when I saw him in the ring, it was like, you know, like it was like, holy mackerel, you know, this guy's going all out, almost like Boy George in music. You know, it was like, holy shit, you know. But he was a very nice person, but he was very, he had a lot of what you call there between your legs there. He had a lot of those, because, you know, it took, in those days, it took a lot of that, you know, to believe in your gimmick and to create that gimmick, but he did very well with it.
I remember watching it like years later because I was too young when him and Piper were feuding, when he had the flower shop and all that going on. I remember watching stuff later. It's like, my word, is he exuberant, that guy. This is, yeah, absolutely.
You know, we've changed. Everybody's changed in life. You know, we've grown to accept and to learn and to realize how life is. But in those days, my dad was a really hardcore on that, like, you know, and he was like, you know, men and women go together, and that's the way I was brought up and raised.
Absolutely.
So but that was in those days. It's not like that anymore today. Yeah. I accept today how it is. I have great friends today that are gay and stuff like that. But in those days, it was hard for me to like accept that, and I was even afraid of it. You know, like, oh, he's a weirdo. You know, but you know, he was the innovator. How do you say? He was a creator, like, you know, like Boy George. He was like a creator of a new era. So congratulations to him, you know.
I'd like to ask you, Jim Brunzell and Brian Blair, the Killer Bees, man, you know, they were integral to the tag division. I know they're well known, but I think they deserve more credit than they got, the Killer Bees.
I agree. I think they should be in the Hall of Fame. You know, we had great matches with them. Great guys, personally. Jim Brunzell, nice guy from Minneapolis. And Brian Blair, who suffered a big tragedy in his career. A couple of years ago, his son died, you know, and he had to live the death of his son, you know, and I think it was a year ago or something like that. And no human being should bury his kid, you know, and so, but great guys. Everybody loved those guys. So I have nothing but good things to say, except they should be in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. Rowdy Roddy Piper, Jacques.
What a character, I'll tell you. The nicest guy on earth, the nicest guy in the dressing room, but in the ring, boy, what a tiger! Like, you know, just, you know, he was in shape, and he was a Zoe Tiger, like in my wrestling competition. Like, he was just a little tiger. He'd go out there and he'd never blow up. He'd never run out of gas. And if you didn't follow him, you'd look bad in a match. But I even had sometimes, you know, I thought he was he was a little greedy in the ring sometimes, you know, always. But then I realized he just keeps fighting. He never dies, you know. So it wasn't. So it was his character that was hard to wrestle with in the ring, because I liked in those days to have a guy when it was his turn, you know, I'd be suffering, I'd be dying for him, and when I'd come back, I'd like for him to be dying for me. But Roddy Piper never died, so it was like, so I always felt like he was greedy in the ring, but he wasn't. It was just his character that was like that, because when you'd get in the dressing room with him, God, he was so nice, that man. He was such a gentleman, always talking about it. The family, he'd recognize my kids, you know. He was a nice person.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Howard Finkel.
Oh my God,
the Fink. Taken too soon.
You know, I was with him on that flight coming from Europe when I went to do some autograph signing with Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. I was in a Comic-Con there in Europe, and he was on my flight going home, and Howard and I, we were reminiscing on the great days of the Rougeau brothers, the fabulous Rougeau brothers, and just the great times, and how Howard always told us, how much he enjoyed us being so professional, being on time, and he was what a voice, the voice of wrestling. He's you cannot describe a guy like Howard Finkel. He such a little body and such a little person, and him to be so heavy in the world of wrestling. And I love the guy to death.
Often imitated, never duplicated. You hear these announcers. It's like Michael Buffer with the boxing.
Exactly.
The voice side, just nobody could hold the candle to the Fink. Not a chance.
No, nobody. You can never replace him. That's for sure. And for many, 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 many years to come, you're gonna say his name, and people are gonna go like, "Oh my God, what an icon! Like what a tremendous man! What a great. He brought so much to the WWF and WWE. Every perspective and every area that created the WWF. He had some specialists in every division. And he was the specialist in the ring as far as a ring announcer. He was the best.
Cool, man. That's cool. Just one more, because I know time is of the essence. Jesse the Body Ventura, who I loved on commentary. I loved him. I think, obviously it was Gorilla and Bobby are my favorite tandem of all time. But I think Jesse the Body, man, he was very good in his day.
I think that you just named three great assets to the business. Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan were awesome, but don't underestimate the entertainment of Jesse the Body Ventura. I used to be a groupie around that guy so much because of the film with Predator and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I loved that movie. I thought he was so good, spitting on the guy's boots, and just having his own character, making it so nice. And Jesse the Body Ventura, it's so funny because I met him in a Comic-Con in the States, in the United States, 2 years ago. And last year or 2 years ago, I met him. And it's so funny because he was sitting there signing autographs. And I came up to him out of nowhere. And I just tapped on his shoulder. And he looked up at me. And I said, how you doing, Jesse? I said, you remember me? Because it's been like 35 years or 30 years, He said, you remember me? And he looked at me. He says, of course. He said, the fabulous Rougeau brother, Jacques. And, I was so happy that he remembered me because I'm a groupie, remember? So when he remembered me, it was like, oh, I was so touched by that. So I asked him to do a video. So if you go on wrestling-academy.ca, you'll see on our website,
Jesse.
You'll see Jesse the Body Ventura, who's doing a little promo.
Amazing.
Plus all the other legends that if you go on and you'll see them, the amazing legends, Undertaker, Bret Hart, they all did nice videos for the Canadian wrestlers for this competition, wrestling-academy.ca. Go check that out.
Just one more, because it's coming to my Marty Jannetty. Jannetty, come on. What a whirlwind. Now, I've heard all this secondhand, and I've heard some stories about guys that run a promotion over here that have done stuff with Marty and that. And he hasn't stopped by the sounds of it. He's still living how he was living in the 80s, I think. But I've got to ask you your experiences with Marty.
I can't take a smile off my face because Marty Jannetty, we're still talking all the time. He's a great, great, great friend of mine. He's my Facebook friend, and he keeps talking to me all the time. He still has those crazy girls running after him and Shawn Michaels at the time. It was just amazing, the parties they had. But what comes to my mind is this guy. He made me laugh so much because he would always make me laugh because we'd come in the dressing room or we'd be in public, and every time he'd meet me, my name is Jacques, but he always acted like he didn't know how to say it. So every time he'd see me, he'd say, "Oh, Jacques, how you doing, Jacques?" And like Jacques, like he was disgusted, and that would make me laugh so much, the way he did that. But it was all out of love that he did that to tease me. And I still think of the time we were in London, where we were on a tour, and we were all the wrestlers in a bus going from Italy to Germany to France and going around. And Marty Jannetty was such a party guy and a crazy guy, And one morning, we're in the bus, and so we're ready to go. We're tired. We came in late from the trip the night before, and we're ready for another 4 or 5 hours of bus. And so Marty's still on the party of the night before. So he's like coming in the bus, and then he says, "Where's that driver?" He says, "Where's our bus driver?" So then so someone said he's inside getting coffee. That ain't gonna work. So he sits down at the bus driver's place and he takes the bus and he starts taking off with the bus, with all the rest of with all the rest of the back. And he did it, and we're all going like,
Yeah.
what a what a crazy mother this guy is. So we went around the block, and when the driver came out, the bus was gone. It was just, that's Marty Jannetty.
Yeah.
Just a crazy kind of guy, I'll tell you.
Yeah, he knows what he is. Do you know what I mean? He's even the guy's under no illusions, is he? Do you know what I mean? I've got him on Facebook as well, and I know he's starting a podcast up as well. I know he's going to be doing his own show, so I look forward to that. That's going to be.
Oh, I can't wait. I hope he invites me on his podcast. We're going to have so much fun.
Unbelievable. He's got another guy with him doing it. I know he's getting it.
I'll get in touch with him. I'm glad you told me that, Stewie. I'll get in touch with him.
Absolutely. Jacques, how's your health been as well, man? Before we go, I've got to ask how you've been feeling after, being in the hospital, last year. How's the health? How have you been doing? That's what I'd like to know. Thank
the Lord. It's been great. I'm back in training a lot. Now I got my shape back again. I got about 10 more pounds to lose, but I'm in great shape. I'm about 245 right now, but I should get down to 235. But training about 5 days a week and having fun. Life is good and no more problems with my, I had so much stuff that happened to me at the same time. The kidney stones, the bladder stones, and then the parathyroids here behind my neck was producing so much calcium, making those kidney stones and everything. So they operated me in the neck, and then they pulled out a cancer in my throat. I had cancer in my throat, didn't even know it. They pulled out a lump, and then I had a bacteria that had got near my heart. They were threatening to have open heart surgery for me for like 3 weeks. It was like I had a PICC line in my arm here, and every 4 hours they were coming in the hospital to pick me in the middle of the night. Those antibiotics for like 3 weeks. It was horrible. It was the most horrible time of my life. The untouchable Jacques was finally realized that he was touchable. But now it's thank the Lord, everything's good so far. You're nothing without your health. And it takes a time like that in your life to realize it and to appreciate it. So now I'm appreciating every day of my life, especially that my younger son now has made me a grandfather. Now
absolutely.
I'm for 10 months, little Montana Rougeau, and we had him for the weekend for 2 days, and oh my God, what a Rougeau he is! Like, he's 9 months old. He's driving the golf cart. He's just I got him on my motorcycle with me. My girlfriend's saying, "Don't do that. You can't do that." I said, we did it when we were young. What the hell? So
I love it.
The life is really good now. Thank the Lord.
Oh man, I wanted to ask that before we went, and just glad you're living life, man. After that, because I know it was hell of an ordeal for you, that the length of time you were in the hospital, man. But just glad you're healthy, man.
Thank you, Stewie. Thank you.
No problem. Right, before we go, just obviously let's plug Wrestling Academy, the semi-finals, August 20th from Club Soda, sold out.
One week later, we'll have the show on wrestling-academy.ca. You could go see the first 2 shows of this year, the quarterfinals, wrestling-academy.ca. Follow this extraordinary competition and how things are going. It's the first in the whole world to have a competition like that. Big prizes, $10,000 prizes, and 3 months at the Nightmare Factory. And then finally, after the 20th of August, we're going to cut it down in half. And we're going to the 17th of September, where the big night of the finals, where we give the prizes out, where QT Marshall is going to wrestle himself for the first time in Montreal against one of the wrestlers that he eliminated during the competition. What a consolation prize. So that's going to be amazing. That's as good as the $10,000 for me to have a chance to wrestle QT Marshall if I'm a young wrestler. Because if he likes what he sees, then he could take that person and bring him with him, so. Absolutely. So it's amazing. So thank everybody for following this, and Stewie, thank you so much for making me feel important, making this competition feel important.
I love it.
And we appreciate you very, very much.
I love it. I love what you've done, and it's opportunities for these young guys. Like you said, there's older guys that you say about Spinelli, 1,000 matches, and you've got people who've only had 8 matches before coming in. So you get the whole.
Keep your eye on Jeremy Prophet. You're gonna hear some stuff around.
Absolutely, I can't wait to hear this news. And obviously, just amazing. It just goes to show, doesn't it? You can do it, even being a veteran. Opportunities will come, won't they?
And one thing I want to bring up too is while you're watching the competition on wrestling-academy.ca, although it's bilingual, you'll be able to hear a little bit of French, a little bit of English, but most of the English that you hear is Jeremy Prophet. That's the commentator. And wait till you see how good Jeremy Prophet is as a commentator. Absolutely. He's just absolutely amazing.
He articulates himself well. Yeah, he's fantastic. Absolutely.
He never lack of words, and he's always It's funny. He's comparing the wrestlers, the matches that he had with them since he's a veteran, 16 years. He wrestled almost everybody in Wrestling Academy from British Columbia all the way to the Maritimes. So he identifies himself with them. He knows them. He talks experience with these guys. He's just amazing. Plus, Jeremy Prophet has his own podcast too with Frank Jofo, the Jofo podcast. He helps; he's collaborator on there. So he's very, very good. So hopefully, that QT Marshall will find something for him, whether in the ring or commentating for AEW or something like that. Let's wait and see.
Absolutely. My guest today for his 3rd appearance on Shoes Wrestling Podcast. This has been episode 151 with former WWE, WCW star Jacques Rougeau, a.k.a. the Mountie. And yes, August 20th, I cannot wait for the semi-finals of Lutz Academy 2023 Wrestling Academy. Thank you so much for coming on, Jacques.
Thank you, mate. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Finalists, here are the semi-finalists. Relentless Riley Rose, Stephen Lanes, Jefferson James, Zoe Sager, the Lion Warrior Bobby Sharp, Maverick Wheeler, Casey Spinelli, Clutch Jesse B, Jesse Bieber, the King Brandon Bright, Gabriel Savage, Nikita, Chad Daniels, Sean Moore, Kat Von Ease, the Salsa King, John Gonzalez, Bjork Haken, Michael Richard Blaze. Smiley Miley had to pull out. Elle sera remplacée par Sandra Lee. Vous pouvez regarder les quarts de finale sur lutteacademy.ca. You can watch the quarterfinals on wrestling-academy.ca. Les billets pour la demi-finale du 20 août se vendent déjà très rapidement. Faites vite, achetez le vôtre au www.clubsoda.ca. Tickets for the August 20th semi-finals are selling rapidly. Purchase yours on www.clubsoda.ca. Vous pensez que vous avez vu quelque chose? Vous avez pas encore rien vu. You thought you've seen everything? Oh no, you haven't seen anything yet.